So we as humans have always been fascinated by mind twisters like riddles and puzzles, but nothing intrigues the human mind more than a paradox. A paradox is a statement or situation that completely defies logic, which is why so many of us are perplexed by them, because our brains hear them and it's like, I don't know what to do with this information. So because I felt like making you guys think just a little bit this week, I gathered the most interesting ones to share with you guys. So here they are, the 10 most mind-twisting paradoxes of all time. Number 1 is the Ship of Theseus paradox. This paradox is also known as the grandfather's axe paradox. Suppose you have a ship made of 100 pieces of wood. Every now and then you replace an old piece of wood with a new piece and you keep the old pieces in a shed. Over the course of many years, you replace all of the old pieces with new pieces of wood, but that's still the same original ship to you, right? Well, the paradox occurs when you consider what happens when you take all of the old pieces of wood and reassemble them. The question then becomes, which is the original ship? And also, why are you building ships in the year 2014, man? What are you, Noah? Number 2 is the omnipotence paradox. This paradox asks, could an omnipotent being limit its own power? Another way to word it is, could God create a stone so heavy that even he couldn't lift it? Now this is paradoxical, because if God does have unlimited power and can do anything, then sure, of course he could create a stone that he couldn't lift. But if that's true and he couldn't lift it, then that's something he can't do, hence the paradox. This is actually one of the most well-known paradoxes in history and has been around since the days of ancient Greece. Number 3 is the Monty Hall paradox. This paradox is loosely based off the old TV game show Let's Make a Deal. Suppose you're on a TV game show and there's 3 doors. Behind one door is a car. Behind the other 2 doors are goats. Now suppose you pick a door, say door number 1, and the host, who knows what's behind each door, opens door number 3, which has a goat behind it, and asks you if you want to switch to door number 2. Now at this point you might be thinking, well, it doesn't matter because they all have a 1 in 3 chance, but therein lies the paradox. Believe it or not, it's actually advantageous for you to switch to door number 2 because it mathematically has a 2 in 3 chance of having a car behind it, which is completely counterintuitive. Now if you're wondering how that works, I don't have the time to mathematically explain it in this video, but just trust me, that's how it is. I think the real question here is what happens when the contestants pick the wrong door? Do they get to keep the goat? Because I mean, that's not so bad. You get unlimited milk, a warm hoof to hold you on cold nights. It's magical. Number 4 is the unexpected hanging paradox. A judge tells a prisoner that he's sentenced to be hanged at noon one weekday in the coming week, but that it'll be a surprise and he won't know until the executioner knocks on his door on the chosen day. The prisoner reflects a bit on his new sentence and concludes that since it's to be a surprise hanging, that it can't happen on Friday because if it hasn't happened by Thursday, there would be only one day left, thus it isn't a surprise. He then continues to reason that the hanging can't be Thursday either because Friday's eliminated, and if it hasn't happened by Wednesday, Thursday would not be a surprise. He continues this line of reasoning and concludes that the hanging cannot happen on Wednesday, Tuesday, or Monday, and finally decides that the hanging will not happen at all. This is of course until the executioner knocks on his door on Wednesday at noon and everything the judge said came true. The paradoxical nature of this situation is primarily due to the language used and also the fact that if you don't go back and listen to that about 3 times over, you're not going to understand it and be confused as f***. Number 5 is the grandfather paradox. This is one of the most famous paradoxes ever created. Suppose a time traveler goes back in time before his grandfather meets his grandmother. If the time traveler kills his grandfather, that would mean he was never born. But if he was never born, he wouldn't be able to go back and kill his grandfather in the first place. Personally, I'm just really glad that this is a hypothetical and that we can't time travel yet, because going back and changing even the slightest thing can have consequences that will ripple throughout the universe. Eugene, why do I have hair? Your time machine worked, didn't it?
Yeah, I sort of stepped on an ant, so that's why.
Huh. Well, I guess this isn't so bad.
Yeah, except everyone in this universe now eats with their butts. So... sorry.
Number 6 is the barber's paradox. Suppose that there's a town with just one male barber. Now in this town there's a rule that every man must keep himself clean shaven either by shaving himself or going to the barber and having the barber shave him. Using that rule, logic follows that the barber only shaves men who do not shave themselves. The paradox is this: if the barber does not shave himself, he must abide by the rule and shave himself. But if he does that, according to the rule, he will not shave himself. This is a good example of what's called an infinite regression, where the story just goes round and round and gets really drawn out. Kind of like the final seasons of Lost. Number 7 is the Fletcher's paradox. Also known as Zeno's arrow paradox, this paradox challenges what we think we know about motion. It correctly states that in order for motion to occur, an object must change its position. Using an arrow in flight as an example, if you look at any one instant in time, in order for that arrow to be moving, it must either be moving to where it is or where it is not. Now, of course, the arrow cannot move to where it is because it's already there, but it also cannot move to where it is not because in a single instant, no time elapses for it to move there. The conclusion is that in any one instant, no motion is occurring, and if no motion can occur in one instant, no motion can occur in any instant, meaning motion is impossible. This is of course a paradox because we observe things in motion every single day. Number 8 is the Epimenides paradox. Also known as the liar paradox, this is another example of an infinite regression that can be phrased in many ways, but most simply as follows. This statement is false. Now, if the statement that I just said were in fact false, then of course it would be true. But if it were true, then that would make it false, which of course would again make it true. But then that would make it false, and it's true. What were we talking about? Number 9 is the Sorites paradox. Also known as the paradox of the heap, this paradox is deceptively simple. Suppose you have a heap of sand composed of 1 million individual grains. If you remove a single grain, it's still a heap of sand. Therefore, that argument must hold true for any such number of grains. Well, if you follow that logic and continue to remove 1 grain of sand at a time until there's only 1 grain remaining, you're left with only one of the following 2 conclusions. Either a heap can be composed of a single grain of sand, or there is no such thing as a heap. I know. And finally, number 10, the Raven paradox. Created by logician Carl Gustav Hempel, this paradox is based off the following 3 statements. Number 1 is all ravens are black. Number 2 is everything that is not black is not a raven. And number 3 is this green thing is an apple and thus not a raven. Now here's what's interesting, because by saying those 3 sentences in that order, it logically follows that the sight of a green apple is somehow evidence supporting the notion that all ravens are black. Now this is of course a paradox because it implies that information has been gained about ravens by simply looking at an apple, which of course makes no sense. Or does it? Anyways, that's all for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to try something a little bit different this week, you know, make you think a little bit, baby. These were the paradoxes that I personally thought were most interesting, but there's a lot more out there, like the coastline paradox, the paradox of the court, the unstoppable force paradox, Schrodinger's cat experiment. Weird name, I know, but it's all very interesting. So if you're interested, I'll put the link in the description to the Wikipedia article where I got all of these from. And as always, if you want to add me to Facebook and Twitter, the links to those will be in the description along with all my other social networking sites. And you better add me, baby, because I learned you something today. And other than that, I'll see you guys next Saturday with a brand new video. Peace. Hey, you made it to the outro screen! Welcome to the madness! Thanks so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to click the big red subscribe button below to subscribe to my channel. I release a new video every Saturday. And while you're at it, maybe click that like button and share this on Facebook or Twitter. It's all very appreciated, whatever you want, baby. And other than that, I'm gonna go edit this bitch so that I can enjoy my weekend. I hope you do the same. And I'm gonna see you next week, next Saturday. Yeah, goodbye now.